This Icon podcast is hosted and sponsored by Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a leading provider for your virtual assistants and outsourcing needs. Owned by one of the top-ranking EXP agents, Justin Nelson. Sphere Rocket VA provides a one-stop virtual staffing solution for business owners, and we specialize in helping business owners grow their business by leveraging through virtual assistants. Trusted by the top names in the real estate industry like Kyle Whistle, Andrew Franklin, John Kitchens, and many more. Get ready to up your success and we'll help you achieve your business goals. Book your free consultation at sphererocketva.com and find out how we can make your life easier.
Welcome back to another episode of the Icon Podcast. I am your host, Gianna, as always, and today we have the opportunity of talking to Jeffrey. Jeff, do you prefer Jeff or Jeffrey?
I answer to it all.
Perfect. I've been called much worse things, right?
Exactly.
Well, Jeff, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, your history, how you grew up to be a real estate agent?
Sure. Okay. Well, I grew up as in a real estate agent family, if you will. My parents were real estate agents. I'm a real estate agent in residential. My brother's industrial real estate. So those two apples didn't fall too far from the tree, if you will. So we grew up in Delaware, and I actually went to school up here in Boston, where I am now. But in my in between freshman and sophomore year, my father actually passed away. So I stayed home. My dad did all the behind the scenes, the marketing, all that good stuff. I stayed home for a semester, basically learned everything he did, managed the real estate company. My mom, she knew how to basically get on the internet in order to look at houses on the MLS. That was it back in 2002. So, so I did everything else for, 3-4 years while I was in college. Then I stopped. I went to Wall Street, traded subprime mortgages for a bunch of years. And I traded subprime mortgages. So we all know how that went in 2008. And then moved back up to Boston for a girl, married a different one, and started real estate up here. So
that's always my first question when people are like, yeah, I moved to chase them to a different state. I was like, did you marry him? And they're like, no.
Nah, I found a better one.
Yeah. I found a better one. I love that, Jeff. So tell me about your transition to EXP. How was it introduced to you? How'd you break up with your broker, your last job? And why'd you come over?
Sure. So my mom, she was RE/MAX through and through. I think she joined RE/MAX in like 95, 96. She was at White Group before that. And so RE/MAX was really all I knew. So when I came up here, that was my alarm to jump on this. So when I came up here, I just immediately went to RE/MAX. In my opinion, at the time, they were definitely the best real estate company out there. I still think that, I put them in number 2 now, to the point where I actually owned a RE/MAX franchise. So I saw everything from there behind the scenes. And then I sold the RE/MAX franchise because there's no money in owning a RE/MAX franchise. Like zero money in a RE/MAX franchise. So I sold that franchise and I went and worked with another broker. I loved him. He was a great guy. Honestly, because of my relationship with Jim, I stuck around for probably a year longer than I really would have or should have. And let me put it this way: it cost me a lot of money from a EXP Icon stock aspect of it, sticking around for a little bit longer. So I was like agent 10,000, somewhere in there. So I had been introduced to it pretty early. The guy who was he 2 Jeff Willems? I think he's 3 above me. I remember us being at a real small mastermind, and we had a rule where Jeff was not allowed to talk about EXP. You fast forward to where we are today in that same room, I'd probably say 3/4 of those heavy hitting agents are all at least with EXP, which is Jeff was right. So I was at RE/MAX, and I was on track to pay RE/MAX over $100,000 that year just from the 5% royalties. I actually didn't even pay any desk fees. It was just that 5% royalty for me, and then 10% for a buyer agent. It was a really good year. So it was in the middle of the month or middle of the year, and I was on track, like I said, for $100,000, and that's a lot of money. So I was either going to go independent, or I took another look at the EXP model all over again. And in doing that, what's funny is I had been pitched EXP a million times, right? So many times, up, down, left, and right. Everybody always comes at you with the same exact stock,
Mm-hmm.
all that good stuff. And look, it's great. I mean, I've made a lot of money in the stock. But it wasn't until a guy who was joining, he had a really big company, and I was down there, and he was independent beforehand, and his name was also Jeff. And it was January, and then in like March, he announced he was joining with EXP, and I called him up. I'm like, "What's going on? Like, you seem great." And so he started talking, and then kind of benefits of EXP. I'm like, "I've heard all this crap all over again." And then in passing, he had mentioned that the revenue share, my wife could actually inherit the revenue share.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned that my father passed away, and I was 19 years old when he passed away. So, to me, that's always something in my head.
Yes.
And being that my family could inherit my revenue share if something was to happen to me, early, like it did my father. I literally stopped him. I said, "Hey, can you say that again? Wait, what is this?" And he explained it to me. I said, "Send me the paperwork." I mean, that's all it took for me. And which is a big lesson in regards to value propositions, that they're different for everybody, right? So yeah, he sent me the paperwork. I signed up right then and there. I had a lot of stuff in the pipeline, so I didn't transition out until June, July. But I've hit my 5-year, I think my 5-year anniversary at EXP now. So
Okay,
that was
awesome.
longer than you probably anticipated me going on for, but that's the story.
No, that's great. And, of course, everybody at first was like, boo, EXP, like they're not legit. And now, a lot of people are coming over. That success leaves clues. And so, Jeffrey, now that you're over here, you're enjoying it, you really like EXP, you've been here for 5 years, you've gotten to reap the benefits of, collaboration, stock options, rev share. So what's your favorite part about EXP? Why do you stay here?
Well, I had mentioned momentarily or a little bit earlier that I was either going to go independent, and then I started looking at the EXP model. It was one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a really calculating finance. I'm a numbers guy. Like, I mean, if I'll break out the spreadsheets and do X, Y, and Z, right? For me to run what I consider a really large business, I know there's some that are bigger than mine. For me to run it, it's all in cost of $22,000 to $23,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And now, don't get me wrong, I pay rent for my office and things of that nature, which I was going to need to go out and get anyway, because I had outgrown that office space for my Remax. I was going to need to get team space anyway. But when I started factoring, I'm like, okay, $23,000. If I'd gone independent, in order for me just to have a bookkeeper, would have cost me $50,000, $60,000. Just in order to run the escrow and the checks and all that good stuff, right? And plus all the headaches from insurance to, you name it. So I quickly realized that it was a lot less expensive for me to go to EXP than it would be independent. And then as the company's gotten better and bigger and better, I should say, they're offering more value. Like, I absolutely love the transaction coordination, right? I mean, it's $250 per transaction. Versus that was a salary position that was like 50 or 60 grand beforehand, just paying $250 a transaction. So, they continue to get better, and the value propositions continue to get better and better. I mean, the stock's great. The 5% of every sale, that's like a built-in IRA, if you will. So it is, like I said, Remax at the time was the best company when I started, without a doubt. Whether I drank the Kool-Aid or not. EXP is now, without any doubt in my mind, the best company out there in regards to the value proposition that they add to agents. They take out that whole franchise level model. So us agents, if you're at a Remax, or if you're at a Keller Williams, right? Like, you're paying commissions, you have to pay a whole middle management franchise level, right? They need to make something for their risk. And then, by the way, there's also the top line, right? The actual owners of the whole entire, the Remax or Keller Williams corporate, you also have to pay them as well. So for us agents, we EXP, we got rid of that middle line, and we just our cost of doing business is less because we're just, we're one level below. We're like our own each franchise, if that makes sense. So
yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And so Jeff, moving away from real estate for just a second, tell me about
Sure.
you. Tell me about your work-life balance. Tell me about how you recharge and draw boundaries and make sure that in an industry that can swallow you whole, you still take care of yourself and your family.
Yeah. Do I? Balance. Interesting. Like today, for example, well, just right before this call, I had the luxury of being chewed out for a seller inappropriately, but okay. Us agents are punching bags. But as I was getting chewed out, I was coming home from being on the boat where I pulled, we have a bunch of lobster traps in the water with my two girls and my wife. Right. So, for me, my work-life balance, I love being out on the water. So it's being out on a boat, whether it's fishing or just enjoying the beach, the sandbar, things of that nature. So
sure. And that's awesome. Great way to recharge, hanging out with the fam. And Jeff, let's talk a little bit about, with this work-life balance and with running such a big operation and being a leader and everything else that comes with your job position as a dad, a father, a husband, all encompassed, right? Of course, you've had to take tasks off your plate. So you've had to, make hires, give assistance, delegate jobs. So what have you taken off your plate that you've seen a lot of success with? And do you use virtual assistants? Do you hire college interns? Who do you bring on your team to be able to leverage that out in order to scale up your business?
So I'm a lot different than a lot of people. So I should say that I had a team originally, not originally, at one point, I had 25 people on my team. The January before COVID, 25 people on my team, and I'd never been less profitable. So the January before COVID, I fired my team leader, fired 20 some odd agents, and was like, I'm going to scale down in order to grow big. And then also put myself back heavy in production. And then COVID hit in February. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to add any additional, liabilities on the balance sheet. I'm not going to hire anybody else. We're going to see how this one goes through and how we all do. Who would have thought that the market would have just taken off like it did? But then again, I'm heavy buy side. So the market taking off like it did wasn't exactly great. That was the most challenging market I've been in since 2000, since 2008 ultimately, which is interesting because everybody thinks us agents were killing it, and it sucked. So from a leverage standpoint, as I kind of like chugged along, I figured out how to get it done. And then I mentioned EXP. My biggest pain point was the transaction coordination piece. And then all of a sudden they rolled out as I was getting ready to hire a new transaction coordinator, which, I was still nervous about putting an extra $50,000, $60,000 a year in liabilities on the balance sheet. And then they rolled out the transaction coordination piece, and it's $250 a transaction. It's always the same transaction coordinator, which I was worried about. I was like, I'm going to test this out. And I've been doing it, I think close to a year now. And wow. It's been fabulous. So I kind of pride myself on, I run very thin. I think my margins are probably some of the higher ones in the industry, because I don't have much quote unquote support for the amount of business that I do. It's really at this point just Emily, who's who I pay her on a per basis. I manage all the internet stuff. I love the marketing. Like that's my favorite stuff to do. That's awesome. I use by referral only for keeping in touch with my sphere of influence. So that's just completely mindless. So I really, systematically use systems in order to really leverage myself, using Zapier, with all the different zaps in order to do it. I mean, if there's a system or if there's a way, I do actually, I take it back. I have an inside sales associate. I think that's like the most important thing you can do. I have an in-house inside sales associate. But other than that, that's it. That's it for my team structure, which most people would say is absolutely nuts, but I like the high margins.
Yes, absolutely, Jeff. Makes sense to me. You got to find what works for you. And so let's talk production then, right? So what does that average housing price look like for you in your market, and how many homes do you have to sell to be able to cap?
My average sale point this year is probably around $600,000.
Okay.
So I just started my cap right now. I was August 1st, right? And I had one closing, and that was a good one. That was like 1.15, which was $5,000 over close to 6,000 towards the cap. So I need a total of 3 million. So what is that? 2, 4, 6 homes essentially, but I'll be pretty much capped out by the end of this month. So,
Awesome.
which is great. Like, when the cap's going out, you're like, how do other agents at conventional companies do this for
Mhm.
every single transaction? And then, like I said, I'll be done with my cap by September. And it's like, oh, there we go again.
Yep,
Much
there
better.
it is. That's awesome,
So,
Jeff.
yeah. So, but it's probably about 6 or 7 houses, probably on average
Okay.
in our market.
Okay, great. And then, beyond just production and selling homes, you've got to have that cultural commitment, right, to get that full cap back in stock. So, are you a teacher, a mentor? Do you vet other icons? Do you do a cultural commitment, and why?
So I do the cultural commitment. I always they changed it up this year, but I managed to sneak into the last way
Mhm.
of doing it, which is the eye conversations. That's always how I've done it in the past. And I like those. I like kind of getting on stage, talking about what I'm doing, my successes. I'm a pretty open book that way. So I don't know if I like this new way, but I understand why they're having to do it this new way, because there's a lot more icons than there used to be we
Yeah,
started.
absolutely.
When I started on board 5 years ago. So.
Yeah, 2%, top 2% of the company doesn't seem like a lot, right? But then when your company is almost at 84,000 people,
Yeah.
2% gets a little bit larger.
Yeah.
So then, Jeff, there's a lot of benefits with being an icon agent, right? So you get that those stock options, opportunity to go to EXP Con, shareholders, that big glass shiny trophy. So what is your favorite thing about being an icon, and why do you strive for it every year?
Well, strive for it. I mean, I think it kind of naturally just happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, it's the stock. I mean, I'm a financial guy. I'm a dollar and cents guy. I graduated from one of the top business schools in the country. Like, business has just been everything to me. Numbers, it's just everything to me. So to me, it's just a building retirement savings. It's great when I've been getting a lot of stock recently, and at the $10-$12 a share, which it's been going up and up and up recently, which has been fantastic to watch. And the icon shares that I got at $5 a share, those are really beautiful. But the ones that I were granted at $70 a share, and they're not looking too good. So over time, they cost base, they cost average. It's something that just starts accumulating. I look at it that it's not something I got at Remax, right? Or if any other company that I was at, with the exception of Real. It's not something I'd ever get. And so it's just a little extra it's a little extra to put a little bit more distance between my family and the wall if things go bad, right? So
Absolutely.
that's why I like it. I mean, like I said, it's just mindless. It happens. It's great. So
Yes,
it's fun
yes,
to watch
love
it
that.
grow.
Love that take at that, Jeff. And the stock options, again, there's so many opportunities for different streams of income here, whether having a team, rev share, stock options, and of course that commission. And so, Jeff, the next question is going to be for somebody that comes up to you and they're like, hey, Jeff, I see this icon award. It's why I came over to EXP. I'm a rookie or I'm new to EXP. Is it possible for me to icon in my first year? What are some major mistakes for them to avoid, and I guess daily goals to set out if that's even an accomplishable goal?
I think you can accomplish it. 87% of all agents will be out of the business within newly licensed agents will be out of the business within 2 years. It's a tough industry. But if you're willing to work really hard, I see it constantly over and over again. Yeah, I'm willing to work hard. And then people get caught up in the freedom, and the freedom hangs them. I mean, it's you get to hang yourself, right? If you're going into real estate because you want a flexible schedule, guess what? I mean, like, so if I was interviewing you, Gianna, and you said, well, I'm going into real estate because I want a flexible schedule, I would never hire you on the team.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you're okay. You're done. You're never going to make it. Sounds good.
Yeah.
You know,
And
I
good
had
luck
two
with
people.
that.
Yeah, I just had two people that replied or responded, applied to our team, and they're answering the questionnaire that we asked them to answer beforehand. And how many hours do you want to work a week? They said 40 to 50. Okay, you can do that, but most likely, especially in the beginning, and if you're wanting to hit icon as a brand new agent, you're not working 40 or 50 hours, double that a week.
Right.
And there's no stop. It's all grind. Because the first year, you talk to somebody on your first day, great. They're not going to buy a house, by the way. But they might be 6 months out. Okay. Now, day two comes along, you manage to talk to another person. Well, they're still probably not buying a house right now, right? Those brand new low-hanging fruit leads, they're hard to come by. And I got a 30,000 person database that constantly, quote unquote, feeds me stuff. But I sold a house to one guy that's been in the database earlier this year, 4 years. And I just sold one, just went under contract with another guy last week. The guy's been in my database for 5 years. This isn't an overnight business. And so it's the snowball rolling down the hill effect. You need to talk to people every single day. There is no stop, right? And so maybe your method is door knocking. Maybe your method is for sale by owners and expireds, which, by the way, everybody else is doing. I recommend if you're going to do something, don't do what everybody else is doing.
Right.
Maybe have a good little budget, right? Maybe you can acquire leads in a different way. For me, when I started, which this one isn't out there, I used Craigslist. It used to be free in order to post listings, and I'd get leads that way, and that's how I started building up my database. But today, the machine, I'm just constantly making sure 500 to 1,000 new leads are coming into my database every single month in order to keep doing it. So it's the same formula whether you're a brand new agent or not. It's just the difference is that now I'm doing it on a lot bigger of a scale. But it's all about contacts. That's why I hired an inside sales associate, right? Like, it's just, they need to be on the phone every single day, building up that pipeline.
Right. Absolutely. And Jeff, just keeping that lead and your sphere of influence. And I like what you said, don't do what everybody else is doing. You're going to have to find your own way, your own brand. And that's how you're going to find success and hold yourself accountable, right? It's going to be hard to get out of bed when you have, quote, nothing to do, but there's always something to do, or a new relationship or a new conversation to have. So,
I mean, when I have, quote unquote, nothing to do at 8 o'clock at night, 8:30, and I enjoy this stuff, but and I am lucky in that I do enjoy the marketing side of it. But when I'm got, quote unquote, nothing to do, I'm either, I'm building out web pages, right? Like additional web pages that are tabbed, in different communities for SEO. I am writing out scripts for, videos I'm going to shoot, right? Like, there's always something for you to do. And it's the micro fact, right? I mean, just this little piece here. Well, if I'm building out a page, it's not going to rank tomorrow, but maybe that page is going to rank six months from now, right? Maybe that video I'm doing a script on right now is going to get me leads 2, 3, 5 months from now. But here's the thing: both those things that I just mentioned, they're what we call evergreen. You do it once, you're done, right? So, you got to find what works for you. You got to stay committed. It isn't a do it for 1 week or 2 weeks and, oh gosh, I didn't get anything and now I got to change course. I've been at YouTube for over a year, and I still don't have a closed sale from it, but I'm staying committed to the course because I know it will work.
Yeah. That consistency is key.
Yeah. So.
And Jeff, obviously you were skeptical about EXP when it was first introduced to you. So tell me a little more about that thought process. Did you think it was a pyramid scheme, or did you think it was just one of those small brokerages that was eventually going to fizzle out? I guess, how did you overcome those thoughts when they were first?
Yeah. So, Well, I was lucky. So Massachusetts. So the CEO of the company, he actually lives in Massachusetts. So he lives in a town called Newburyport. At the time, the company was a lot smaller. So like a lot smaller, and EXP didn't have a big foothold in Massachusetts. Which when you're the CEO of a company, you want to start seeing more EXP signs, right? So I was really lucky. I had the opportunity. The second up guy that in my line, he orchestrated a sit down, and so I drove up to Newburyport, sat down with him and the broker, and we chatted and just about the company model. And one of the things I said to him, I was like, okay, well, I don't see how you guys make it in a downturn.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks at me and he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't see how you guys make it in a downturn, because we're exactly primed like for a downturn. Mm-hmm. It's a downturn when actually our business model will shine. And I sat there for a moment, kind of like thinking about it. I'm like, it's kind of right. Like, I mean, there's no overhead in this company. And then, so that was my biggest fear. It was like, okay, because I didn't need Remax for support. From a marketing standpoint, up here especially, nobody hires a Remax. Remax doesn't have any market share here, so you're not leaving a brand up here. So none of that worried or concerned me. The only thing I had was the relationship with my old broker, who I still talk to. I was texting with him 2 or 3 days ago. So I was definitely worried about losing the friends that I had, at my old place. And then, but when I kind of thought about, the actual model and started thinking about it a little bit more in the perspective of, okay, this is the success they're having now. Okay, I'm worried. I was worried about the downturn. What would our company look like in a downturn? And then I really thought about it, and I was like, yeah, this is a virtual company. It's a lot easier to lay off a person than it is to shed office space and things of that nature. We don't have any. We have 500 square feet of office space in Bellevue, Washington, or wherever the heck it is. That's the whole entire real estate footprint for our company. And that was my biggest worry. And sure enough, COVID hit, by the way. Obviously it wasn't a downturn in real estate, but there was a lot of nervousness there. When COVID hit, all these other companies were, scrambling. EXP, if you were an EXP agent, you literally did not skip a beat, because everything was virtual, from cutting our escrow checks to back office. Like, all of that stuff was virtual. Like, I mean, and it showed that how right they were in regards to where the business model was. And I needed to sit down with the CEO of the company in order to come to that conclusion.
Absolutely, Jeff. And for somebody that is out there and they see that, other skeptics have jumped over to EXP and they're very successful over here, but they're nervous to break up with their broker. They're nervous because it's a pyramid scheme. It's a cult. Don't drink the Kool-Aid, right? So what would you have to say to them, coming from somebody that also had that mindset, to kind of put them at ease in making the switch and encourage them to make it over here?
Yeah. So first off, you can come to this company. I came to the company, and I will say right now, it wasn't the right decision. I was like, I just want to sell real estate. I'm not going to get caught up in the pyramid or anything like that. I'm looking to sell real estate for the lowest cost than anywhere else, including going independent. I screwed up there. I probably should have been, I should have been recruiting. The culture of like picking up and calling people and doing that, and it seems so sleazy to me. And I still think it is. I think there's ways that you can attract people to the company, and, you talk to them when people ask, so I'll have people say, hey, I'm thinking about going to EXP. Can we chat? Sure. Great. Let's talk. Right. I think that's the right way to do it. And I think it's a lot easier now because it is a proven formula. And we're the third largest real estate company in the country right now. So, and we'll be number one pretty soon. I'm pretty confident on that.
Fastest growing, at least, for sure.
Yeah. So, there's proof in the pudding now. So it's a lot easier of a conversation, I think it is. But then there's that relationship aspect. And there's the aspect where everybody's scared of, they're always scared of change. And it is nerve wracking. I still remember my mom calling. Again, she's been Remax all of her life, for pretty much at this point, 30 years, right? She's on the tail end of her career. But she called and she was like, Jeffrey, I think you're making a huge mistake by making the switch over to EXP. Now I'd already signed everything. I'd already joined. I'd already left Remax officially. Not what you want to hear, but it was the mother just chiming in. And, I remember when the stock took off that one time, and, my wife and I are sitting on, hundreds of thousands of dollars in stock, just being like, yeah, it was a pretty bad mistake we made. Right. So, it's tough. Like it just the unknowing, the being scared, it's completely natural, and it's change. It's learning. But I will say that I truly do believe there isn't a company out there that offers more than EXP. I think one of the reasons why we do offer more is because when I owned my Remax franchise, I had to do the recruiting. I had to spend a lot of money on recruiting, right, and a lot of time on recruiting. And not only that, the higher level, the New England region, right, they were spending a lot of time on teaching me how to recruit, right, and spending money on that. When you look at the EXP model, they just take that whole part of the recruiting and they don't have to do anything on it because us agents are doing it for them. And I think that, if you want to sell real estate, then come be just like me, right? Just sell real estate for the lowest cost per operation than you can anywhere else for a major company, that is. And enjoy the resources, and they only get better and better. Like the company truly only gets better and better. So, absolutely. And I have a video on YouTube too that, the things I don't like about EXP, and in the end, I go through and I list all the stuff that I don't like about this company, because there is no perfect company out there. But in the end, I say, is it worth it? And my analogy is all this stuff that I just listed off. It's like a paper cut on an elephant. It's just, in the end, the benefits are so large and so big that all the little annoyances of workplace and, whatever it might be, that it's just, it's a great company. So.
Right. Absolutely. And I love what you said there. It's a paper cut on an elephant. There's so much going on. It's going to continue to grow. If you guys have questions, I encourage you to go straight to the source, whether that's asking Jeff or another agent that you feel like you align with. Talk to them about their upline, their sponsors, and who you're going to have access to. There's so much in EXP world, all online. Like you said, Jeff, we don't even have we have a 500 square foot office space, right? Because
I think they're required to have some type of footprint in order to be a public company. So they lease 500 square feet. I think it's in Bellevue, Washington.
Isn't that crazy? That's crazy.
That's literally it for, a $3 billion company.
Right.
Which is, and by the way, that's why we're profitable, right? Like you go and look at Realogy. You go look at Compass. Oh my gosh. I truly don't believe Compass is going to make it through this. I don't see how they do, because they're not going to continue to get any more institutional money, right, in a downturn. So acquisition target right there. But, you go and look at those, the traditional models, we're in the beginning of a slowdown here. It's going to be interesting to see how they cope with it. They're already Redfin. They're already laying off people. EXP hasn't laid off anybody yet. I'm sure they might in order to shrink the business share, but they just increased their dividend. So I think, while other companies are bleeding red and amassing huge amounts of debt, shrinking their workforce, here's EXP with zero debt as a company, and increasing their dividends, right? Giving more money to their shareholders, us agents, while we're going into a downturn. And I think that from a standpoint of when I sat down with Jason and talking about, the business model, and I think that's proof in the pudding, where they feel so confident that they bought $50 million in stock last quarter and they're increasing dividend. I think that says a lot. So.
Absolutely. That's awesome, Jeff. I think that this episode has been super insightful. I love that you've been transparent about, things that you like, things that you don't like. You were skeptical at first, but now you're here. You've been here for 5 years. You're in the top percent of the company, and it's just going to continue to grow. So if you guys have questions, reach out to Jeff. Take it straight to the source. He's going to tell you what he doesn't like about the place. go check out his YouTube video, and then, continue to dive in, see what this place has to offer you. And Jeff, are you going to be at EXP Con in Vegas?
I probably won't be at that one. No, it's a busy fall with weddings and bachelor parties and enjoying myself.
Yeah, totally get it. Well, I'm sure we'll catch you around at some conference, mastermind somewhere, because tis how the industry works. And Jeff, thank you so much for your time today. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
This Icon podcast is hosted and sponsored by Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a leading provider for your virtual assistants and outsourcing needs. Owned by one of the top-ranking EXP agents, Justin Nelson. Sphere Rocket VA provides a one-stop virtual staffing solution for business owners, and we specialize in helping business owners grow their business by leveraging through virtual assistants. Trusted by the top names in the real estate industry like Kyle Whistle, Andrew Franklin, John Kitchens, and many more. Get ready to up your success, and we'll help you achieve your business goals. Book your free consultation at sphererocketva.com and find out how we can make your life easier.